Mark, just tell me about that experience. How did you get the green card? And what qualification one has to have in order to get that very precious green card?
Well, there are a variety of different categories of eligibility. I got mine because I was a recipient of the National Friendship Award.
So that's a very prestigious award for international.
It's the highest award that can be given to a foreigner by the Chinese government. And at the award ceremony, the premier announced that he wanted to create this as a new category of eligibility, in addition to financial investments, or being married to a Chinese citizen, or being an associate professor at a university for 5 years, or making some other significant contribution. So I was actually the first person to receive the green card because of that reason.
Congratulations. What can you do with the green card? I mean, how much would it help you, really?
Well, I really haven't explored everything, but the most important
what do you mean by everything?
Well, there might be a variety of different smaller things, but the most important is the ability to live here and not have to get renewals for visas, and the ability to live here and work, or the ability to live here and not work. Just the right to live here and to stay. So that's the most important thing.
Huiyao, we heard about this stories, you know, people shuttling back and forth between the mainland and Hong Kong, just try to renew their passport, renew rather their visa into China. It's quite troublesome, shall we say, for someone who need to work on a daily basis. Will this green card, particularly this technical update of the green card, as we have seen recently, going to help people like what we have here?
Yeah, no, I think it's offered tremendous help because you see, the China initiated the green card system in 2003, but by that time it was really just a visa, a long-term visa at entry point, and you can only use for that. And then after that, if you want to buy an air ticket, if you're checking hotel, your open bank account, basically you cannot use it, or maybe not convenient to use it. Now the new system is making the green card similar like a Chinese ID card. So you have a computer chip built into that green card, and then you can use it to swipe to get your train ticket. You can open bank account, you can go to a hotel, and now you're going to be large in number. So that's really a great step to facilitate the green card and make it really worth the meaning of it, and also get all the benefit of it.
But the question is, it's not just about the technical upgrade of the green card, but rather how many are there in China? I mean, just the originally foreigners be able to get the green card, and how much would this really help them to stay here?
No, I think the need is very strong. It's very big need. For example, in the last 10 years, actually, before this new regulation, I think there's about 8,000 green cards being issued, which is every year is a few hundred, and then compared with 1 million in the U.S., it's really a small number. But now I think last year, China has issued about nearly 1,600 green card, which is triple the time of 2015.
Right, but we started from very small, right?
Yeah. So I think with now the new policy and with the new facility and now more widely use of this green card, and also with more people like our guests here to apply for that, we can see a surge for that, and in the coming years.
Mark was very understanding when we were doing a little talk before the show today. He said, well, China has never been an immigrant country, so we understand it started from small and therefore it has to be gradual. But Mr. Wang, I mean, China now really determined to attract international talents. And China wants to open itself up to the rest of the world. You heard the Chinese President Xi Jinping talk about it at Davos, right? And everybody heard it clear and sound. So can that be speeded up in a much more dramatically faster speed?
I think it can be, because last year China opened its first green card processing center in Zhongguancun, and also you see that now the international population percentage in China is probably one of the lowest in the world. We had only about less than 1% of the global population here. So I think with this new green card, there's going to be big demand, and the world average is about 3%. Developed countries about 10%. So China is less than 1%. There's a huge growth for that.
Much less than 1%.
Exactly. It's about 0.4%.
Yes, indeed. China has been talking about attracting talents both for its economic development and also innovation, and also be able to learn to embrace diversity in the Chinese society. Take a look at the link between foreign workers and economic growth in China and the United States. Probably we can have some kinds of information. Immigrants help fuel the U.S. economy, as we know, representing representing about 1 in every 6 workers. Because of accelerated immigration and slowing U.S. population growth, foreign-born workers accounted for almost half of the labor force growth over the past 15 years, when U.S. economic expansion was the fastest. Compared to China, about 900,000 foreigners now are working in China on the Chinese mainland as of 2016, representing about 3 in every 10,000 workers. But the number of foreign employees in China has risen by leaps and bounds over the past decades. There were less than 10,000 foreign experts working in China in the 1980s. Of course, huge difference. Mark, you know, when we were trying to analyze these numbers, many of my foreign colleagues or co-workers here in CGTN, they're extremely excited. They want to see how you get a green card and how they would get access to that. But of course, it's a long story. For now, how much will this green card be able to attract foreign talent, people with real professional skills, and particularly in science, technology, and of course in language as well?
I think one of the key things is, you've already talked about, is the stability and the ease, and how do you make it as facile as possible to be able to not have to continually worry about how am I got to get another visa, and the stability that that's going to allow. And that is a very attractive feature. Many people are interested in that.
Yeah, Huiyao, Mark talked about foreigners, but actually there are different kinds of foreigners. I'm not trying to divide them, but rather different categories. For example, there are overseas Chinese who are foreign passport holders, and probably they were born in a foreign country. So are they going to be treated differently, let's just say, compared to those who have never had in family history any link to China?
I think now there's some new policies. For example, if you are overseas Chinese, if you got a PhD, now you get, when you're coming back, you got a green card. You can get a green card on that. And then we are hoping to get a threshold lower for that. You know, for example, in Guangdong now, if you're Guangdong people who live in Guangdong, you were born in Guangdong, you were out, you were coming back, you can get 5 years long-term staying visa.
But you know, the question is that really about attracting people like Mark? Or is it really about attracting people many of us know, which is, you know, Chinese nationals, but went overseas study, stayed in the United States, for example, or Australia for 30 years, and now coming back. So maybe they have a foreign passport, but at the same time, they can have a green card, easier for their life. So what this policy is looking at?
I think we're looking at both. You know, China is looking at, for example, those overseas Chinese, those diaspora, you know, of Chinese origin that already foreign nationals, now they can have access to the Chinese green card, which has facilitated them to come back. China has 60 million overseas Chinese, which is a big population. And then on the other hand, the non-Chinese foreigners are really a very small percentage in China. You know, now we say there's about 900,000 foreign expats coming to China. Maybe a lot of them are Chinese origin as well. So China really need to attract more to foreigners, actually.
Diversity.
Yeah, diversity, and also have all kind of foreign students coming to China. There's also foreign, probably highly skilled coming to China, and also people from different countries as well. For example, in the Silicon Valley, there's about 50% of the workforce coming from different parts of the world.
But you know, in China, there is the issue. I mean, on the one hand, Mark, you know this, that as foreign expert in China, you do have certain privilege. For example, you have longer vacations than your Chinese counterpart. Your pay is a little bit higher than someone who's doing similar jobs as you are compared to your Chinese colleagues. But at the same time, you also face uncertainties in your lives and works because people look at you differently. As we mentioned, China is not an immigrant country, so they still consider you as the other.
Sure.
So how, in a way, from your perspective.
I'm always introduced as, this is Mark, our foreign teacher.
Okay. How, in a way, that diversity will become really the real essence in the society? I think that is the real question.
Well, I teach at a very interesting university, and its theme is unity and diversity.
Minzu University, of all kinds of ethnic minorities
all kinds of Chinese people from every Chinese ethnic group, and people work together and study together, and I'm certain that they have originally come to the university with certain preconceived notions about people from other Chinese ethnic groups, and that these are overcome through association, through studying together, playing together, working together, interacting. And there are a variety of different organizations that seek to bring together Chinese people and foreigners who've been here for a long time, or new foreigners, some governmental or some non-governmental or some businesses.
Diversity
that
that you are talking about systematically, Huiyao, how will that be able to be built, a system that would embrace diversity rather than treating people as here and the other?
Yes, I think that's right. China was actually calling for building an internationally attractive system with international standards.
Inclusive system.
Yeah, inclusive system.
Yeah.
So, for example, China is probably going to establish a national immigration bureau, which can really handle this properly.
We don't know about that yet.
Yeah, but of course, I think we recommend for that. Of course, we still hope that we can happen. And then the other thing is that the Chinese green card now we're having is actually granted to you after you already been in China. You are already in China.
Right.
So the foreign green card is that before you come, they give you a green card to attract you to come. So I think we should really propose the green card a little forward, rather than already become a fact that you're already in China for 4 years. We give you one to acknowledge your presence in China. So we should probably use that a little further down the road. And also, I think most important is we should attract more foreign students to come, because that's the applicants for the green card in the future. So if they have the study in China, you have the working experience in China, then they can become a green card in China. Finally, they can be citizenship of China. So I think that's expectation. That kind of a career path can be built for the foreigners in China, and that would be very good.
We hope that all of those will be achieved, of course, as both of you suggested. But of course, we all know that China has been experiencing a feudal and closed society for hundreds of years before finally open up 30 years ago with the opening up and reform policies. And it's quite a young country. If we talk about opening up, we'll see how that would move from here to what both of you are hoping for.